What's up, guys? We're live doing a boom breakdown here for UFC Greenville. Talk a little bit about the Dana White Contender Series, as well as Paulie versus Artem coming up this week, and we'll get to some fan questions too if we have some. If you guys want to leave questions down below, we'll try to touch up on all those. Um, so getting started first. UFC Greenville. I did a breakdown with James Lynch, so I'm not going to go through the whole entire card. I'm not going to go too into depth, but we'll just make some quick picks. We'll touch up on a few of the more significant fights on the card. Obviously, main event: Renato Moicano versus Korean Zombie. Both of these guys coming off of a loss by TKO/KO. Obviously, Korean Zombie knocked out pretty brutally by Yair Rodriguez in an amazing, exciting fight that was going 5 rounds. Fight ended with very short time left, and what an impressive fight, man! That was a really exciting fight with crazy styles and just aggression and violence and man, Yair looked better than ever. But Korean Zombie is a guy that's so hard to put away. You don't really see that often. And he has a lot of power as well. He has finishing power, and he's a guy that has some submissions. He has some big wins in the division over the guys like Dennis Bermudez. And but he was out for a while too for serving his country, I believe. And so, you never know how much of a toll that takes, but good experience going at least 5 rounds with Yair, and now he's fighting Moicano, who's coming off a loss to Jose Aldo. And Jose Aldo's looking better than he was looking after that loss to Connor. He looked like he kind of got his stuff back together, but he's on the tail end of his career. And Moicano took a loss to him by TKO, which the fight really wasn't that close. I felt like Aldo was winning significantly in that fight, but it wasn't as brutal as a finish. So he's not really facing that recovery aspect as Chan Sung Jung is, Korean Zombie. But Boomachino, baby. Yeah, so with my viewpoint of that fight, I feel like Chan Sung Jung has a little bit more aggression, a little bit more output. Obviously, Moicano's a little bit taller, gonna have a little bit of the reach advantage here. And if he could use that well and use those low leg kicks, calf kicks, he could probably stop the aggression of Korean Zombie and maybe have some success there. But I think Korean Zombie is more versatile. He's well rounded. He can win by a variety of different strikes. He's flashy. He throws unpredictable combinations, and I think he just has a little bit more power than Moicano. Although Moicano is very calculated and patient in there, and he likes to pick his shots. So we'll see if his striking is a little bit more accurate than Chan Sung Jung. But I see the fight going the Korean Zombie's way. I don't know if either guy will get finished in this fight. It's not easy to finish either one of these guys, so I can't really see either one getting a clear-cut finish, but I do see the fight going the 5 rounds, and I see Chan Sung Jung edging it out by decision. I feel like just the amount of strikes he'll throw, his count, his forward pressure, and yeah, I think he'll land the harder shots in this fight, and I think that'll be the difference maker. So I'm going with Chan Sung Jung by decision. And we got John Lineker versus Rob Font. This is a rematch fight. John Lineker coming off the loss to Corey Sandhagen, who's a really tough style to deal with. I mean, Sandhagen is really tall and lengthy for the weight class. He fights different. Don't mind my fucking scumbag of a dog barking out there. He doesn't stop. But yeah, we got Rob Font trying to get a redemption in this fight. He lost to Lineker by decision, but he got fairly beaten that fight by like, it was a clear-cut decision. It wasn't a very close fight. But Rob Font's improved since then. He has good boxing. But I think for Lineker, the key is this is, styles make fights, and this is a good style matchup for him because Rob Font is not a guy that likes to run away and be elusive, and he's not, he's not gonna have a crazy size advantage over Lineker. Lineker has a deceptive way of leaping in and getting close to you, even though he has a short reach. Um, I think Lineker is going to get inside, and I think he's going to put Font away. You cannot get hit by Lineker, man. And Corey Sandhagen, hats off to him for not getting caught by him. By a lot of those hard shots, hit the glove. You got to keep your hands up high, chin down, and you got to be aware of all those shots. But Lineker throws mostly hooks, so he's coming from wide angles. He's not throwing a lot of straight, crisp punches down the middle. So at least you don't have to worry much about that. Not much of a kicker. You know what he's going to do. It's just a matter of do not get caught. But the amount of volume that Lineker puts out and the amount of aggression, forward pressure, mixes it up really well, going body to head. And that's where he lands his strikes. He'll get you lower in your hands to your body, and then he'll go up to the head and land a big hook. So for me, Rob Font has to fight a really smart fight. He has to try to mix in the clinch and the wrestling if he can, and try to kind of get Lineker tired. As the rounds go on, Lineker does start to fade. He keeps his power, but he does get a little bit less volume, and he gets a little slowed down. So that's a key factor if you're going to try to beat this guy. But first fight went to Lineker pretty clearly, and that's a psychological edge that Lineker has going into this fight. Granted, he just came off a loss, but the guy wants to stay active. He made that announcement saying, "Listen, give me a fight or I'm gonna retire," and he got his wish. So, or not retire. He said, "Give me a fight or let me go." Essentially, like, let me go elsewhere. Let me become a free agent if you're not going to give me fights, because he was complaining about his opponents getting more opportunities than him. And I kind of agree. The guy's put in his dues. He's had big wins, and he puts on exciting fights every single time. So if that's the name of the game, let's give the guy more fights. So here we are, rematch, Lineker versus Font. I'm going with Lineker, and I think he's going to get a knockout or TKO. I think he's going to hurt Font in this fight. I think he knows what he's looking at. He's already fought the guy. He's already beat the guy. Font was gonna be fighting Cody Stamann, who's primarily a wrestler, who has decent striking, but more so of a strong wrestling style, and that's a different style. That's the opposite style than Lineker. So he has to face those challenges on short notice. I'm going with Lineker here by TKO. Brian Barberina, Randy Brown. Randy Brown, he's a good fighter, but he's showing signs of fading, especially if he gets taken down and gets tired. He's on his back. We've seen guys kind of take advantage of him in those positions. And Barberina, man, that fight against Vincent St. Luque, he was winning. And he, if he didn't get caught towards the end, he probably would have won the fight by decision. I was very impressed by his ability to fight a guy like St. Luque, who's such a technical striker. And Barberina is a grinder and got a crazy good chin, and he's hard to put away, and he's going to come strong the whole fight. So I don't expect Randy Brown to be able to hold up with his kind of pace. I think Barberina is going to start breaking him down slowly as the rounds go, and I think he might not get a finish. Randy Brown's not an easy guy to finish, but I think Barberina will have more power on the feet, and if anything, it will go to decision. He'll get a clear unanimous decision. He'll land the harder shots. I don't see Randy Brown hurting him in this fight. And I really don't see the jiu-jitsu aspect of things coming into play too much. If anything, Barberina is more of a wrestling background. I think he'll be able to take him down if he wants to, but he seems to like the striking game. He likes to get into the pocket and exchange, and Barberina has the edge there as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to go with Barberina by decision. That's the thing. I don't know if I have questions on here or if they just don't, or if they're down on the bottom. I have to figure that out. Oh, okay, so it would say like all messages are visible. Yeah, if any fan questions, leave below in the live chat here. I'll get to all of them at the end. We got Andrea Lee, Montana De La Rosa, but Montana coming off the Ultimate Fighter. Andrea Lee is, they're both very evenly matched in this fight. I feel like Montana has a little bit more of a submission ability to finish. She's had a couple wins by submission, and Andrea Lee obviously had those personal issues going on with her husband. We don't know where someone's head's at when they're going through that, but I think she's all right. Montana De La Rosa, her boyfriend's in the UFC. That's always good when you're able to train with someone like that that's able to push you and to help coach you, that has the same kind of experience, that's been through it just like you have. I think that's something powerful to look at. And I think Montana De La Rosa is going to come out victorious. I don't know if she'll get the finish. I don't think Andrea Lee's an easy girl to put away or to submit. I don't really even know if this fight will go to the ground, but I think Montana De La Rosa will get the victory, most likely by decision. But if anything, we could see a submission victory here. Kevin Holland, Di Chirico. Di Chirico has a couple big wins. You know, he's knocked out a couple guys, but Kevin Holland is starting to come into his own, and he's a funky guy, man. He reminds me of Tony Ferguson at a heavier weight class, just the way that he moves, and not really the exact same style, but the way that he's free in there and he's just having fun and he's just doing reckless shit, not really worrying about taking risks. That's where he reminds me of a guy like Ferguson. And I think that's hard to deal with in there when you're fighting a guy that's just willing to flow and just go with his improvisations and have fun in there. He's dangerous. He's good on the ground. He's hard to submit, but he's got that funky style, man. And I think it's going to be a little bit different for Alesso Di Chirico to deal with versus other guys that he's faced before with a more natural style. And I'm going to go with Kevin Holland, and I think he'll be able to take the fight down to the ground at some point, either in a scramble or whatnot against the cage, and he'll be able to catch a submission. Um, Otherwise, that's the main card, and I'll just go down quick to the prelims and just make quick picks. Dan Ige versus Kevin Aguilar. I'm going with Ige in this fight, although this is one of the hardest fights to pick. I feel like both of these guys have the ability to win this fight. Ige just has really impressed me as of late, more so with his finishing ability, and he seems like a fucking killer in there, man. His killer instinct is on another level, and he's finishing fights within like the first round, within like the first minute or two. So he's got something inside him that he's just letting it go and he's going for it. So I think there's something to be said about that. Kevin Aguilar 17-1 though, a lot of experience, a lot of victories, and not an easy guy to put away. I don't really think this fight's going to be finished early. I do think it will go to the decision, but I think Danny Ige has a little bit of a grappling advantage. You know, he's trained with Khabib's team. He trains at Extreme Couture with a lot of high level guys, and I think he has a good family around him and a good base around him. Good friends, family management. Shout out to Sucker Punch. And he has a lot of opportunities to train with really high level great fighters. So I'm going with Ige. Ashley Yoder versus Siri Kondo. I'm going with Ashley Yoder by submission. Kondo just a little bit less experience in the UFC. Also has been finished before, and she's coming off some losses. So, you know, momentum is on Yoder's side. Matt Wyman, Luis Pena, the battle of the old Ultimate Fighter versus the new school Ultimate Fighter. Luis Pena, they forced him to go back up to 155, which I think is a good decision. The guy's so lean. I don't know how he's going down to 145. It's crazy, but he looked really good in his last fight, very aggressive compared to his fights prior. And I think that's a good sign. And when you start coming into your own, it takes time to find yourself as a fighter. He's still new. He's only 6-1 in total. and he's coming off the Ultimate Fighter, still trying to find himself. Violent Bob Ross is fucking painting a picture. He's going in there and he's creating art and he's starting to figure out himself. And I think he's going to paint a beautiful picture against Matt Wyman, who's been out for a long time. And that's going to be tough to come back and fight a guy who's very active right now and coming into his prime. So I'm going with Luis Pena by either TKO late or decision. Alan Crowder, Jairzinho Rosenstruck. I'm going with I think I said Alan Crowder on James's podcast, but I kind of changed my mind. I just feel like I went with Alan Crowder just based off that he got that win against Greg Hardy, and I thought, maybe the momentum of that would give him a boost, but Jairzinho has knocked out what's his name? The Brazilian guy with the big baby guy with the diaper fucking shorts. Junior Albini. He finished him, and Junior's a solid UFC fighter with experience. So I changed my mind on this one. I think this one, heavyweights, anybody can go down. A lot of power shots. I'm gonna go with Jairzinho by knockout. Ariana Lipsky, Molly McCann. I just had a fucking turkey meatball, and now we're talking about the real meatball. I don't know if it's turkey meatballs or fucking real 80%, 20%, but I'm going with the meatball. I became an instant fan after her last fight. The tenacity that she has, the intensity that she has. This is no easy task. Ariana Lipsky is a brutal, aggressive Brazilian fighter herself, and she's gonna have a little bit of a height and reach advantage in this fight, but Meatball is fucking tough, man. She's like a brawler style. She gets in your face. She's not afraid to take a shot. Her eye was blown up in that last fight, and she was still coming strong. So I gotta go with Molly McCann, just kind of out of hopes that she gets it done, because I think she's a star in the making if she could pull off some big victories. Darren Wynn versus Eric Spicely. Welcome back, Eric Spicely. Solid jiu-jitsu guy coming from CES MMA. And Spicely's no easy task for Darren Wynn in his debut fight for the UFC. I mean, Eric Spicely's been knocking dudes out outside the UFC, and he's been finishing fights, and he's a tough guy to fight. He's a black belt on the ground with very slick jiu-jitsu. And I don't know about Darren Wynn's jiu-jitsu, but we do know he trains at AKA with Daniel Cormier, so that's a big confidence booster and advantage for him. So he looked great against Tom Lawler. Tom Lawler, a veteran of the sport, and he really put it on him. And that was a size discrepancy where he was Darren Wynn was a lot smaller in that fight. I don't know if he's going to look to go down another weight class, or if this is down a weight class. I don't know if he fought it. I think he fought 185 against Tom Lawler, but I think Eric Spicely's 185 too. I think this is a middleweight fight. Yeah. So we'll see if he chooses to lose some weight and get down to 170 at some point, because he's a short guy for the weight class. Packs a big punch, though. He's undefeated. I just don't know if this is a good debut for him. I think originally he had two guys pull out of the fight that were more of debut fighters themselves, or fighters with less experience. But Spicely has, 16 professional fights versus 5 of Darren Wynn. So I think Spicely might get this victory here by submission. I don't know if he could take him down. Darren Wynn has that wrestling, so it's kind of tough to say. I don't know if the fight will go to the ground. If it does, I go Eric Spicely. If it doesn't, Darren Wynn definitely has the power ability to put anybody away. I'm going with Spicely, though. I think he's going to get a submission. Andre Ewell, Anderson Dos Santos. Ewell coming off a loss to Nathaniel Wood. Although, he had a good debut against Renan Barão, who a lot of people like to discredit those wins. Champ. Andre Ewell seems to be in good spirits, though. He's fighting a guy with a lot of experience, though, 20-7. Andre Ewell's primarily a striker. He's a kickboxer. He has very crisp hands. I don't know much about his wrestling or jiu-jitsu game. If he's as comfortable there as he is on the feet, I think he likes to keep the fight standing, and I think that's what he will do in this fight. I don't think he has too much power in his hands, but I think he'll get a decision victory based off of volume and accurate striking. I'm going to go with Andre Ewell by decision, and that's Greenville right there. And also, we'll talk a little bit about Paulie versus Artem. I don't know what you guys think about this fight, but I really feel like Paulie is he's obviously got a lot of boxing experience, and that's huge for this kind of fight, because this is bare knuckle boxing. But you got to also take into consideration he's had hand injuries, so this is you break your hand in this kind of fight, it could change the whole outline of the fight. It could slow you down. You can't just throw reckless abandonment with these bare knuckles. Although Artem and Jason Knight said fuck that, and they just went nuts. I really think this is a case of can Paulie use his boxing skills and his accuracy and his pinpoint striking and elusive head movement to avoid a big bomb from Artem, because I think this fight's going to turn into a brawl. I mean, this is a small circular ring. It's not the same size as a boxing ring. It's a different style. um, I do think Paulie will have early success as far as like the accuracy goes in the boxing pedigree, but he is older. He's been retired for a little while. We really don't know how solid his boxing is these days. I don't think you necessarily lose it, but I don't think you keep your sharpness when you've been out of the ring for a while and even out of the gym. We don't really know how serious he's taking this, although he does look in good shape as of late. It looks like he lost a lot of weight and he leaned out. So I do think he is trained. I think he's motivated, He really this fight is really funny because it's based off of the sparring session with Conor. I feel like Paulie's so bitter towards that whole situation and how Conor tried to expose him and their whole camp that he just wants to fucking shut someone down that's part of that camp. And Artem is the guy that's willing to step up and fight him. And Paulie's like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck up Artem just to shove it up their face, their ass, just to get back at them for that sparring bullshit where they released those photos and this and that. It's kind of funny because him and Artem never really had anything personal. In fact, he said Artem came up to him after the spar and said like, "Hey man, props to you. You took a lot of good shots and you stayed in there." And it's just funny how this whole fight is built and how it's created drama and how the bare knuckle fighting has jumped on this opportunity to make a fight that has a lot of attention behind it, and credit to them for doing so, because this is like the fight where I think a lot of people are actually really interested to see what happens. It's their first really, really big fight. A lot of people were into the Artem fight versus Jason Knight, but that wasn't like two big names. This is two guys who are out there in the media making headlines, and Paulie is he's an announcer for boxing. He's an analyst. He knows how to say catchy things on Twitter and get a lot of people's attention. He's a very controversial character. So a lot of eyes on this fight now because of bringing Paulie and Artem into it and kind of using the Conor situation to build this fight. And I think that's very smart. I feel Paulie will win the fight, but I don't think it's as clear-cut as it might seem because of his boxing. I think bare-knuckle fighting is more of a brawl than it is a tactical boxing fight. Artem does not care to get hurt. He does not care to take damage. He's going to get in Paulie's face, and he's going to make it a dirty fight. He's going to make it a brawl, and I think that's going to change the whole outlook of the fight, and Paulie's going to have to make adaptations to that and try to figure out a way to kind of slow Artem down and pick him apart. I go with Paulie. I think the fight's going to get bloody. I think if Paulie's accuracy is on, he's going to cut Artem up bad, where I don't know if this fight could get stopped by doctor's stoppage or whatnot, or because if that last Jason Knight fight didn't get stopped, then I don't know what fight would, but I go Paulie in this fight. So Dana White, Contender Series, he gives a contract to Jorgen De Castro. He gives a contract to Puna. And Brendan Loughnane does not get a contract. Man, I thought the most impressive overall performance was by Brendan Loughnane. I don't know how the guy doesn't get signed. He's a training partner of Dominic Cruz. He left it all out there. He showed every area of mixed martial arts. He showed abilities to strike. He showed abilities to take a punch. He showed abilities to look for takedowns and look to finish the fight. And he tried to hurt Bill Algeo. Bill Algeo is a tough opponent with a lot of experience on the regional scene. And both guys are leaving it all out there. Loughnane gets a little tired towards the end and decides to shoot a takedown with 20 seconds left. And then Dana White says, that's the reason why we're not signing him. We want to see killers. We want to see guys go for the finish. I mean, I understand the fact that he was winning the third round and had a lot of momentum. And he was landing a lot of right hands, and he probably could have went for the finish a little bit harder. But to see a 3 round fight like that of very high level mixed martial arts, and to display all of your skills and to leave it all out there, the guy's pissing blood after the fight. He put a video on Twitter, and to not get signed because you go for a takedown, I just don't think that's right, man. And I don't agree with it, and I don't understand. If you want guys that are real fighters that are leaving it all out there and have the high level skills that you're looking for to compete in the UFC, I believe Brendan Loughnane is the guy. He should have definitely got a contract. The other two guys that got a contract, they deserve the contract too, but this guy had a more exciting fight, in my opinion, than those two. So it's crazy to see how the viewpoint is. I mean, wrestling's a part of mixed martial arts. Jiu-jitsu is a part of mixed martial arts. It's not about only knockouts and only submissions. It's about your overall ability to mix these different arts together and to put on your best performance. I thought Brendan Loughnane did a great job. I thought he fought his heart out. And I thought Bill Algeo did a great job too, and was just such a hard guy to finish that he just couldn't get the finish. But I was really surprised to see that was the difference maker. Just one takedown towards the end of the fight. But Puna, obviously, they signed that guy because he is nonstop going for the finish, throwing power left hands the whole way, and you could tell the guy really wants it. And he was upset at the end that he didn't get the finish, and that shows a lot of passion and the fact that he wants to finish fights and knock guys' heads off. So that's clear cut with him, and I'm happy he got the contract because he definitely has potential to put guys away and to make really exciting fights in the UFC. And the heavyweight guy that took out Meeks with those leg kicks, man, that guy was way more athletic and explosive than he looked. And he's gonna do some damage in the heavyweight division if they give him the good matchups, the right matchups, because that guy's got fast, hard kicks. He put that guy down with kicks, and you don't see that often. So that was really impressive, and I'm excited to see who they match him up with first for his UFC debut. Fan questions. We got a funny one here. I don't know if this is really appropriate, but Natnal Kanoa asks, have I ever smashed a UFC chick? No, I haven't. I have a girlfriend. She's a Boom Breakdown fan, so we gotta be appropriate. And no, I have not. I'm in love. Thoughts from Jack T on Twitter at Jack_TEVO. Thoughts on the Contender Series. Personally, the idea for looking for finishes and moments rather than all-around skill and ability completely undermines the idea that they're looking for the best fighters to compete. The UFC has become more entertainment than sport. I agree with this guy. I think entertainment is really the direction that the sport is moving. It's not just about wins and technique and ability to fight in all the different arts and to mix it together and to leave it all out there. It's a lot about how entertaining you are and how your personality is on the mic and how your style of fighting is. Are you aggressive? Are you looking to exchange? Are you looking to finish the fight? Are you trying to hurt somebody essentially versus are you trying to out technique and outsmart someone and really the beautiful side of mixed martial arts, the actual sport and the actual art of it. I don't know through the promoter's eyes if the vision is quite about that side of things or more towards the entertainment. I would go the entertainment way. That seems to be clear these days, even though we're ESPN level sport, just like the NFL, just like the NBA. I'd like to see it more legitimized as far as the sport goes than the entertainment side of things goes. But of course, that's part of the game, man. You got to get people interested. You got to build storylines. You got to get people to love you, people to hate you. And that's just how it is, man. Let's see. Any more questions here? I think that's it, man. But hey, guys, let's make some noise for me on Twitter, Instagram. Follow me at Brian Boom 135, and let's get Chael. I tried to tweet Chael Sonnen. Great career. Congrats to a great retirement, and I wish the best for him in the future. That guy has set the tone for building a personality and a shtick and promoting fights and becoming a character and kind of like the entertainment side of things. He's proven that that works. That gets a lot of eyes on you and a lot of attention. Well, I would like to break down some fights with Chael Sonnen and talk some fighting with him, some analyst type stuff. That would be great. I'm looking to add to my resume and to build off of this boom breakdown stuff. I will be looking to start uh, getting more traffic on these boom breakdowns, getting more fighters and more fans involved, and have more question Q&A type stuff. And just to give my opinion through the lens of the fighter's eyes. That is my goal. Obviously, I'm still active UFC fighter. I'm still very much trying to keep winning fights, and I'm still feeling great in my prime. I feel young, and I'm ready to get back in there and get some victories. But this is also what I'm passionate about, talking about fighting and breaking down fights, and kind of have the analyst hat on. And I'd love to keep a part of this sport in many different ways, and I think this is one of the ways I could do it. So go make noise on Twitter, guys. Tell Chael Sonnen, let's link up. Thanks for watching the Boom Breakdown. Thumbs up, subscribe. I really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. Maybe we'll do a recap show of UFC Greenville, and we'll recap Paulie versus Artem and all that good stuff. So we'll see you guys next time. Boom.